your Sabbath for your land where you meet teaching. Sad Sunday deceiving. We camped out for 7 days in Sukkot feasting.
Hallelujah. Barak Yahuwah. Abba is good. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, it's your Dre, your brother Dre, ACH SHA'AL, your brother SHA'AL, coming to you live from home in the Bama. I made it home a day early. Hallelujah. Got a load that got me home today. And I drive to Montgomery in the morning, and then I come right back home after that. So hallelujah. I love it when I can get home more than once a week. Hallelujah. All right, so anyway, Abba is good. I want to say that I pray that everyone had a great week. I pray that everybody is having a great week because it's still going on. You know, getting ready. We're preparing for the Shabbat. It's preparation day, so hallelujah. Abba is good. Hallelujah. All right, so I'm going to keep this brief as possible. Did not plan to do this. This is pretty much an impromptu video. But I just want to share something. I'm going to start trying to just share nuggets instead of trying to make long videos, which I don't ever really try to make long videos. It just kind of works out like that. But I'm going to start trying to just share nuggets when Abba puts it on me to share something. Just come by and just drop some nuggets. So I want to come by and I want to share this nugget concerning the spirit of Yahuwah. So I want to say this. I know there's a lot of people, you know, sometimes we just have to be real. Mishpaka, sometimes we just have to be real. There are a lot of people that don't believe in the spirit. You know, there's a lot of people that just believe in reading a book, reading words, but they don't believe that the spirit of Yahuwah is really alive and active inside of us. I want to tell you right now that the spirit of Yahuwah, the Ruach HaKodesh, is not a Christian thing. I know there's a lot of shenanigans and craziness that's gone on in religion relating to the spirit. And then we know there's a lot of things that people have said that this is the spirit, that's the spirit, you know, and they be full of folly and all kind of crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I don't ignore that. But at the same time, we have to always keep in mind that we can't let the folly of humanity take away from what Yahuwah has clearly shown us is true. All right. So we have to learn to make a separation. Yahuwah has clearly shown us that things are true, and we can't let the foolishness that we see dismiss that. All right, so I stand on that Yahuwah's spirit is real, it's alive inside of us, living in us. It's actually him in us, because he's one Aluah. Yahuwah is one Aluah. He's not two Aluahs, he's not three Elohim, he's one. So his spirit is him. His spirit is inside of us. He told us that this was going to happen. All right. And his spirit leads us, teaches us, speaks to us, instructs us. All right. So I want to show you guys just a really good example of listening, of being led by the spirit, even though sometimes we don't follow the spirit, of being led by the spirit. I'm going to use an example of me and my DNA test. All right. So, hallelujah. Some of you already heard this, but I have many new friends that may not have heard this. So I'm going to share this testimony about when I got my DNA test to prove that I was an Israelite. All right. And then we're going to go to a few scriptures and I'm going to be done. All right. So, hallelujah. Look, I can't remember what year this was, but there was a big thing going on. There was this company, a DNA company called 23andMe. And there was this big push from Israelites, you know, getting DNA tests, the H1B1, you know, DNA and proving you're an Israelite and all that stuff. And even back then I had questions about that. And even then, I'll be honest with you, I don't trust DNA tests because I just have an issue. Let's put it like that. Let's put it like this. I'm kind of very distrusting, and I'm just being honest. Religion messed me up. Just so many lies that we've been told over and over again mess me up. Me personally trust the spirit of Yahuwah more than I trust DNA. And the reason I say that is because the DNA science is not ran by us. That's not our people. The DNA and all that science is ran by heathens. All that's controlled by heathens. So if they say something that we want to hear, we jump up and down and start clapping and hey, yeah, because we want to hear it. But then when they say something we don't want to hear, we dismiss it. So it's the same heathens will take what they say that we like, and then we'll dismiss what they say that we don't like. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a realist. That's just me. I'm very distrusting of a lot of this stuff. All right. So, and I will say this, our people knew who they were long before there was an ability to take a DNA test. DNA testing is new. All right. So, but I just want to throw that out there. But anyway, I can't remember what year it was. All right. So anyway, it was a company called 23andMe. A lot of Hebrews were doing DNA testing, and, people were all excited, coming back with the results and saying they were Israelites and everything, saying that the science proved they were Israelites, which I got a whole lot of questions about that, but I'm not even going to get into all that. But anyway, so that was a big push, and that was going on. And there were Hebrews that were leading that also. But the 23andMe, when I started researching, I started looking at that, and that necessarily was not us. But it was a company that gave results that we liked. Okay, I'm just going to leave that right there. I'll deal with that later. Not saying it's not legitimate. I'm not. I'm just saying, me personally, on the personal level, I don't trust any DNA. Now, let me get to my story about when I did get a DNA test. All right, so the spirit of Yahuwah. I was fairly new to the truth. Been in a few years when all this was going on. Everybody was making this big push, and people were getting DNA tests. All right, so I wanted to get one. I just wanted to be able to prove, because I thought that the science would prove that I was Israelite. All right. But the spirit of Yahuwah, I'm telling you guys, this whole video is about the spirit. I'm using the DNA test as an example. This is a good one too. But the whole video is about the spirit. The spirit of Yahuwah spoke to me and told me not to get a DNA test. The spirit of Yahuwah, the Ruh of Yahuwah, some people may say Ruach, the Ruh of Yahuwah spoke to me and said, do not get a DNA test. You do not need, this is what he spoke to me. He said, you do not need a DNA test to prove what I've already told you. That's what he told me. The spirit of Yahuwah was clear to me. Do not get a DNA test. You just want to prove that in your flesh. But you don't need a DNA test. You don't need a man-made science that you don't even know the background of it or whether it's even legitimate or not. You don't even know none of that. You don't need that to come behind what I've already told you. So who is superior? Am I superior inside of you, the spirit, or is what this man and this scientist in this lab tells you superior? Why do you need a test to back up what I've already told you in your spirit, that you are of the seed of Abraham, of the children of Yasharal? That's what the spirit had told me. All right. So I left it alone. I wasn't going to take the test. Well, it kept on, things were getting big and everything. People were, taking the test, and I crumbled, and I disobeyed. I disobeyed the spirit. I went ahead and ordered me a DNA test. Let me tell you guys how. So I ordered the DNA test from 23andMe. All right, trying to justify it in my mind, knowing good and doggone well that Abba told me not to take that test. All right. So I ordered the DNA test. The DNA test comes. I take the test. I follow the directions to the T. I took the test. I know it. I sent it off, and I'm waiting for my results to come back. So I can have what I called my solid evidence. Even though the spirit of Yahuwah had already told me, did I wake you up by a DNA test, or did I wake you up by what I put in your spirit, by what I showed you inside in your inner man, who you are? Did I wake you up by that, or did I wake you up by some science of a man? All right. All this time, Yahuwah has already told me that. And I know I couldn't lie about it. I know he told me that because I had already made the decision that I wasn't going to do it. But then I crumbled and I did it. So what I did was I started following my flesh. All right. Go with me, y'all. I'm telling you a true story. This really happened. All right. So anyway, I took the test, sent it off. They messaged, no, how did they do it? I think they either messaged or called me or whatever. And said, hey, we got your DNA test. We ran your test. Your test is showing that you're not even alive. You have no DNA results. It's not showing negative. It's not showing, it's not saying that you are something or not something. What I'm telling you is that it's not saying that you even exist. You have 0 DNA results. Then they tell me this. They say, if you want to take the test again, we'll give it to you again for free to double check. I smile because I knew what it was. I knew it was Yahuwah. I knew it was Yahuwah punishing me for going against his spirit and following my flesh. So what he did was he allowed that test to come up nothing. It didn't come up negative. It didn't come up a different result from what I wanted. It came up no results, period. As far as that test was concerned, I wasn't even in existence. I wasn't even alive. Do you hear me? I'm trying to get y'all to understand the magnitude of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about no negative results. I'm talking about that I got 0 results. They said that my DNA test came up nothing. Like I wasn't even here. All right, so they messaging me all puzzled and, tripping. And I'm like, you know what? No, thank you. I do not, I appreciate you offering to do it again, but nah, that's all right. I'm good. Because I knew right when I read, I think it was a letter they sent me. When I read the letter and I saw it, I just started smiling because I knew. I started smiling and repenting to Abba for taking that test because I knew what he was doing. I knew that was because he had already told me not to take that test. But me and my flesh and in my feelings and wanting to prove something by the flesh, I went against his spirit and took that test. And as a result, he said, okay, you're going to take it anyway? Okay, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it show up nothing. Got the test back. It showed up nothing. I have not thought about taking that test again, and I will not take the test because I know that was Yahuwah chastening me for going against what his spirit told me. His spirit clearly spoke to me and said, you do not need their DNA test to prove what I've already spoken to you in your spirit. The spirit of Yahuwah is superior to any test, to any book, to anything. I stand by that. Now, that was just my short testimony of how the spirit of Yahuwah will indeed, just one short testimony, speak to us. I want to go to the book real quick. You know what I'm saying? I want to show you guys that I don't hate the book. I talk a lot about the spirit being superior to the book, and I stand by that 100%. But I never said that I hate the book or despise the book. I mean Yahuwah's word every day. I love his word. But I understand that his spirit is the only thing that exists on this planet, in this realm that we live in. His spirit is the only thing that exists in this realm that could never be tampered with. His spirit is the only thing that is 100% pure. So I trust his spirit to lead me more than I trust the book. I stand by that. I don't care how many friends I lose over it. It don't matter to me. I stand by that. I stand by the words of my father Enoch, our father Enoch, who said that it was not men weren't born for this, to with pen and with ink to confirm their faith. He said we weren't even born for that. We weren't born to need writings and books to confirm our faith. We weren't born for that. So I stand by that. Let's go to the book. All right, we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah. We're going to go to chapter 31, verse 31. Book of Jeremiah. Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will make a new, renewed covenant with the house of Yasharal and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahuwah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their aluah, and they shall be my people. Watch this. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahuwah, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their crime no more. He says, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. Why is that? Is that because everyone's going to have their own book to read? No. This don't have nothing to do with a book. This has to do with what he's doing inside of us. He makes it clear right here in Jeremiah 31. And you shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahuwah, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their crime no more. All right, now we want to fast forward. I want to take you to the book of 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. Y'all see, Yahuwah was talking about his spirit here. We also see where he said that, I believe it was Joel, the prophet Joel, Old Testament, Old Covenant. I don't like to say Old Testament, original covenant, y'all. I'm not starting in the new, I'm starting in the old. I will pour out my rue on all flesh. That's what the prophet Joel in the English. That's what he told us. That's what Yahuwah told us through him. I will pour out my rue. All right. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. What know you not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you, which you have of Yahuwah, and ye are not your own? Let's go to the book of Acts 13 and 2. Watch this. I'm going to show you some examples of the spirit of Yahuwah being alive, active, speaking, instructing, and leading our people. This is not stuff that we just throwing up out of a hat somewhere, like we're magicians with black hats. This is stuff that can be easily verified, and it should be able to be verified in our own personal lives. If it can't be, then it might be a sign that we are not filled with his spirit. So I'm just being honest. I'm being real, because I believe that these are the things that are important. The things that Abba is showing me and telling me, I'll say what he says to say, and I'll say what he puts in me. I can't walk anyone else's walk, and I can't run anyone else's race. I can only run my own. So I'm going to have to do the things and say the things that he says for me. And then everybody else has to do what he tells them to do. But this is where I am right now. We have a lot of people that don't believe in Yahuwah's spirit. They don't even believe in his spirit. They don't believe that his spirit speaks to us. If you are one who says that Yahuwah does not speak to us, if anyone that says that Yahuwah doesn't speak to us, then it's clear that Yahuwah is not speaking to them. Because if you say that Yahuwah don't speak to us, then of course he can't be speaking to you. So that's a problem. That's a problem. So what I'm here for is not to come down, not to attack anyone, but these are things that are important, because Yahusha said that unless we have his spirit, those that do not have the spirit of Hamashiach do not belong to him. So if we are out here speaking against Yahuwah's spirit, there's a problem. That's a problem that needs to be addressed, because a lot of people have the book. They got a book. See, but the Pharisees had the book. The ones that murdered Hamashiach and the believers that followed him and the prophets had books. It wasn't the heathen that killed the prophets. It was Yasharal, people that had the covenant, that had the books, that had the scrolls, that knew the law. They're the ones that killed the prophets, not the heathen. You can't take me in the scriptures anywhere and find me one of our ancient prophets that a heathen killed. All of the prophets were killed by our people who had the book, who had the law, but they killed Yahuwah's messengers. Why? Because they did not have his spirit. The messengers had his spirit. Most of our people didn't have his spirit. And most of our people today don't have his spirit. There's nothing new under the sun, y'all. So while we worried about all this other stuff, and we talking about stuff that don't even matter, fighting, fussing, arguing, and a lot of times we're not even fussing and arguing. We're just having a good old time, unified with everybody, just having a good old time. Bashing the spirit of Yahuwah, discounting and dismissing the spirit of Yahuwah and how he is real and alive in our lives. So that's where I am. That's what I'm going to talk about, because that's what Yahuwah has me here to do. I didn't even know that this was the main reason when I did this. This was not planned for me to go here. This is where he's taking me. So let's go. All right, so Acts 13:2. As they ministered unto Yahuwah and fasted, the Ruach HaKodesh said, let me read that again. As they ministered to Yahuwah and fasted. See, these are people that were sold out for Yahuwah, that were living a life that reflected that they loved and served Yahuwah, not just wearing Hebrew clothes, changing a name to a Hebrew name, but they were consecrating themselves to Yahuwah. They weren't wearing Hebrew clothes, having a Hebrew name, and then caught up all in their flesh, going about their daily lives, worried about nothing but fleshly stuff. Don't have nothing concerning the spiritual things on their mind at all, but got a nice, cute outfit on. See, this is not what they did. This is not what the prophets did. This is not what our father Abraham and the patriarchs did. This is not what Enoch did. This is not what Moshe did. This is not what any of our righteous fathers or mothers did. That's not how they lived. They had Yahuwah forever on their mind. They had being in tune with him on their mind. They didn't put on a show and a front, but then have no sensitivity or care for the spirit of Yahuwah at all. They didn't do that. See, that's stuff that we do in 2022, but they didn't do that. So let's read that again. As they ministered to Yahuwah and fasted, the Ruach HaKodesh said. So we see here that he spoke. The Spirit spoke. He said, separate me, Barnabas and Shaul, for the work where I have called them. This is a very specific thing that the Spirit said. See, I have my own personal life, but then I also have the books that confirm that Yahuwah's Spirit speaks to us. I have my own personal life. I have my own personal testimonies of Yahuwah speaking to me. Sometimes I obeyed, sometimes I didn't. But I have my own testimony that he speaks to us. But I also have a book full of our ancestors that we can see evidence that Yahuwah's Spirit speaks to us. He's not a pseudo spirit, some figment of our imagination. He's real. And he lives inside of us. He teaches us, he leads us, he speaks to us. So the Ruach HaKodesh spoke and said to them, separate me, Barnabas and Shaul. So after the Ruach HaKodesh spoke, what happened? They did it. They separated Barnabas and Shaul to go on to do the ministry that the Ruach HaKodesh had called for them to do, that he spoke to them while they were fasting and ministering unto Yahuwah, not playing games. See, maybe that's why he's not speaking to us, because we're playing games. Acts 13:3. No, in 4. And it says, so they, being sent forth by the Ruach HaKodesh, departed unto Seleucia, and from thence they sailed to Cyprus. Sent by who? Sent because they just thought it was a good idea to go? No, sent because the Ruach of Yahuwah spoke and said, separate me, these two men specifically, for the work that I called them to do. Don't tell me that the Spirit of Yahuwah don't speak to us. Anybody that doesn't believe, that rejects the New Testament, fine. Conversation over for me and you when it comes to this, because I am way past arguing with folk. If you don't believe if you don't believe this, then I completely understand why you would go against it if you don't believe it. But for everyone that says that you believe, that you attest to, and that you embrace the writings of the apostles, this is clear about the experiences that the righteous men and women that came before us had after Yahushua left with his Spirit. This is clear. So if you say that you embrace the New Testament, what they call the New Testament, if you say you embrace these words, then don't tell me that the Spirit don't speak to us, because I'll just have to be just blunt and say that you're a liar. And the writings prove you're a liar. See, a lot of people jump on me because I talk a lot about the spirit and not the writings. Well, the writings prove that you're a liar if you say the spirit doesn't speak to us. We're going to keep going because we're going to prove it some more. Like I said, I did not plan to go to this. I had these scriptures in mind just to show some correlation. I did not know it was going to go here, but I'm just got to follow. I got to follow route. I got to follow the route. So this is where we're going. Let's keep going. All right, we're going to Acts 16:6. Now, when they had gone throughout Phrygia in the region of Galatia and were forbidden of the Ruach HaKodesh to preach the word in Asia, after they were come to Mysia, they essayed to go into Bithynia, but the Spirit suffered them not. And they passed by Mysia, came down, and they passing by Mysia came to Troas. Do you see this? The Spirit actually told them not to preach certain places. They were forbidden of the Ruach HaKodesh to preach in Asia. So the Spirit actually told them, spoke to them, stopped them from preaching in Asia. And then it says the Spirit did not allow them to preach, to go to Bithynia. See, these are men that were sensitive to the Ruach HaKodesh. They weren't just living their best life, following commandments just following, keeping the Shabbat and don't kill and don't steal and keep the feast days. They weren't just doing that. They did that, but they did more than that. They followed and were sensitive to the Ruach HaKodesh, leading them in their daily life to the point where there were certain places they didn't even preach because the Spirit said don't. Don't tell me that the Spirit don't speak to us. If the Spirit's not speaking to us, if you say that the Spirit don't speak to us, then he's not speaking to you. And you need to check yourself. Maybe we're not living like they lived. I'm talking to me too, y'all. Let's keep going. Acts 21:10. I'm showing you clear examples of the Spirit speaking. And as we tarried there many days, there came down from Judea a certain prophet named Agabus. And when he was coming to us, he took Shaul's girdle and bound his own hands and feet and said, "Thus says the Ruach HaKodesh, so shall the Jews, the Yahudi at Jerusalem, bind the man that owns this girdle and shall deliver him into the hands of the Gentiles." And when we heard these things, both we and they of that place besought him, Shaul, not to go to Jerusalem. So the Spirit spoke through this prophet, saying that if you go to Jerusalem, they're going to bind you. They're going to imprison you. And the other believers that were there with Shaul tried to convince him not to go. Why? Because they knew that the prophet wasn't lying. And by the way, when he went, exactly what the prophet said, and he wasn't the only prophet that said it. There was like 3 or 4 prophets, if you read the book of Acts, that all told Shaul the same thing. The Spirit confirmed itself. Told him the same thing. If you go back to Jerusalem, they're going to get you. And he said, I got to go. Here it is. Then Paul answered, "What mean you to weep and to break my heart? For I am ready not to be bound only, but also to die at Jerusalem for the name of Yahushua HaMashiach." These aren't men that played games. These aren't men that just read a few scriptures and then just went on about their life and their day because the only thing they thought they had was just a book. These are men that were in tune with the Spirit of Yahuwah on a daily basis. Are we those type men and women? Maybe it's time for us to examine ourselves. Let's keep going. No, let me read this last one. And when he would not be persuaded, we ceased, saying, "The will of Yahuwah be done." So he's saying that they were trying to convince Shaul not to go back because they didn't want him to be in prison and probably killed. But Shaul said that I'm ready to be in prison and to die for the name of Yahushua. I have to go. I have to go back. I have to preach at Jerusalem. Matter of fact, we can go and keep reading where it said that he said that Yahushua appeared to him and told him things that were going to happen. We could see the apostle Kepha, who they call Peter. He said that Yahusha told him that his time to die was close. Yahusha appeared to him and told him that he was about to die, that his time was almost up. Is this the type of life we're living? Or are we just worried about cute outfits? Acts 10:19. While Peter thought on the vision, Kepha, the Spirit said to him, behold, 3 men seek you. Arise, therefore, get down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, behold, I am he who you seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? So we can see here that the Spirit spoke to Kepha. And if you read that whole story, the Spirit was speaking to Cornelius and was speaking to Kepha while they were on the way to meet him. The Spirit spoke to Kepha, showed him that vision of the sheets, and spoke to him and said, there are men out here to seek you. Go down. He didn't know the men were there. The Spirit told him. And when he went down, the men were there, just like the Spirit said. He didn't know that the men were there. He was up in the upper room, or I think he was on the roof, praying and meditating. He had that vision, and then the Spirit spoke to him and said, go down. There are 3 men coming to see you. Don't tell me that the Spirit doesn't speak to us. If you say that the Spirit of Yahuwah does not speak to us, I have evidence all the way back from the beginning, but even up until now, for people that would say that it was then, even up until now, even up until our time, after Yahusha died and rose, I have evidence, clear evidence of Yahuwah speaking to us by his Spirit. Clear. So if we say that Yahuwah doesn't speak to us, then we got a problem. We got a problem. So with that said, that's all the scripts I had. Like I said, I wanted to keep this short. I did not mean to go into the mode that I went into, but I know it was by the root, because that was not my intention when I did this video. I was just going to share my testimony, share a few words, share the scripts, and that was it. But I sensed I sensed him bubbling up. So I just had to go where he took me. We need to check ourselves, y'all. Check our carnality, examine our lives and our hearts to see if we're truly walking in faith and walking in the rule. Because if we're not walking in the rule, we're not walking in faith. I'm telling you, if you are depending on your flesh, you will not make it into the kingdom. If we are depending on our flesh, we will not make it into Yahuwah's kingdom. We will not make it. We will be the very ones turning our back on him when the times of testing comes. Only by his Spirit will we make it in. Only by his Spirit. Don't speak against Yahuwah's Spirit, y'all. Don't speak against his Spirit. I started this off by sharing my DNA test as an example of how Yahuwah's Spirit speaks to us. See, look, I don't fight with folks about it because I know he speaks to me. And I know I have not always obeyed. So my goal is I want to get 100% obedient to you, Abba. But I know I have not always obeyed. But I know he speaks. I know his Spirit lives inside of us, y'all. His Spirit is inside of us. Our body, our physical body, is the temple. It's the holding place of his Spirit. His Spirit lives inside of us. He leads us and guides us. He will lead us. He will speak to us. He will show us things. He will tell us things if we're in tune. I'm not here to tell you that I'm always in tune. I'm not here to tell you that I got it all together. But what I am here to say is that we better believe that he's in us and then be striving. Be striving to get closer and closer and more in tune and more in line with him. It's about more than just reading a book and then trying to do what a book says. Our fathers couldn't even do that because they didn't have his Spirit. They couldn't even do it. We need his rule. We need his Spirit. See, we got people out here keeping the Shabbat, keeping feast days, just trying to do what the book says, but don't even have a relationship with him to hear Yahuwah on a regular basis for their life. It's not just about these things written in the book. That's just a beginning point. I'm going to say this. I said this when I spoke at the Line of Yahuwah Worship Center. I'm going to say it right now. The written law is elementary. The written law is not deep. The written law is elementary. That's basic. That's what we should all be doing. You shouldn't be teaching nobody. You shouldn't be up in front of nobody saying nothing. You shouldn't be on the doggone YouTube or Facebook or nothing if you don't believe in keeping the written law. The written law is elementary. It's basic. There's something deeper and higher. That is a relationship with Yahuwah. That is knowing him. That is hearing his voice. That is doing the things he says on a regular basis, like these men we just read about did. You see everything I wrote. I read from there. That wasn't nothing that they got from a book. They didn't get none of that from reading the law of Moses. That was from the Spirit. The law of Moses didn't tell Kafar that 3 men are waiting for you. Go down, go with them, because I sent them to you. And he listened because he knew the Spirit. Something that some of us don't know, but he knew. Some of these very men that we say that we believe and we embrace these books and their writings, we don't really believe and embrace what they wrote and embrace what they lived, because these men were led by the Spirit. These men kept the Torah, and they also kept the Torah of the Spirit in their life. They didn't read the book, keep the Shabbat, and then dismiss the Spirit in their life on an everyday basis. We see men here where the Spirit spoke to them and said, don't preach in that place right there. Keep going. Don't stop there. No, don't go there. Go here. That's not something they got from reading the law of Moses. That's something that they got from the Spirit of Abba being inside of them to lead them, guide them, and teach them and instruct them in their daily life. That's what that is. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. I think I'm done. All right. So to everybody that joined, really appreciate you. Love you very much. Hallelujah. All was good. All right. Much love.